Hey Charger History! Today's essential question is, how do I read vertical timelines? When I say pause, please pause your video, turn to page 6 in your notebook, skip one line, and copy this essential question. Pause. Under your essential question, draw a line down to the bottom of the page. So I noticed that this essential question has a vocabulary word from this week, vertical. Vertical means running up and down, just like the arrow that you see on our screen. Today we'll work on reading timelines that are shaped like this, that run up and down. To review from yesterday we read horizontal or sideways timelines. These read left to right, like a book. Older events are on the left, and newer events are on the right. Notice where I put year 1 on this timeline. You have to pay close attention when placing year 1, because you must put it between the BC and the AD years. See that this date says BC, so I know that happened before Jesus was born. And this date says AD, and the date says that followers of Jesus founded Christianity, so I know that Jesus must have been alive. The AD dates and the BC dates are divided by year 1. If you spin this timeline around, it becomes a vertical timeline because it is running up and down. That brings us to your first central idea for your notes. On the central idea side, you're going to write vertical timelines. You can listen as I talk, and if you need more time, when I'm finished, you can press pause on the video to finish copying your notes. On the detail side of your notebook, you're going to write the 3 steps to reading a vertical timeline. These are 3 easy steps that start with number 1. On your timeline, you're going to first write older and newer. You'll write older on the top and newer on the bottom. After you know which side is which, you can write year 1. Remember, just like I did, you need to write it in between the AD and the BC dates. If your timeline has no BC, or it only has BC, then maybe there's not going to be a year 1 on your timeline, but that's something that you need to be aware of. If it has BC and AD, then you need to know where the year 1 is going to fall between them. Your last step is to circle important words from the questions. You will have questions about a timeline, and usually those questions will include words that you can also find on the timeline. So, you need to decide what to circle based on what words you see in the question. Please pause this video now if you need more time to write on your notes. So here's an example of a vertical timeline that you could see on the iLeap test this year. Let's go through the steps to reading this timeline. I remember that first, I'm going to label older and newer. Older is on top, newer is on bottom. So the things that happen at the top of this timeline happen first, and the things down here happen later. After I label older and newer, I'm going to place year 1. Notice where I put year 1. Here's a clue. Now we're going to circle words from the question. My question for you is, which came first? The year that Buddha founded Buddhism, or the year that Elizabeth I became the Queen of England? I circled the words in my timeline that match up with the question being asked. Your last central idea for today is parallel timelines. Please press pause and write parallel timelines on your central idea side of your notebook. On the detail side, you can write what parallel timelines are and why we use them. Parallel timelines are 2 or more timelines that are next to or on top of each other. They look just like parallel lines in math class. You use them to compare different places or different people that live in the same time period. Press pause if you need more time to write. Let me show you what a parallel timeline looks like. I see this as a parallel timeline because my lines run along each other, just like a parallel line in math class. And it's comparing three different civilizations. It's comparing Africa, North and South America, and Asia. So these are three different places, but they all have the same time period. They all start in the year 8000 BC, or 8,000 years before Jesus was born. I want to ask a question about which came first, farming in Northern Africa or farming in North America. In order to answer this question, I need to circle the keywords from the timeline that can help me find that information. I circled Northern Africa and North America because those are the same words that came from my question. The most important thing about reading a parallel timeline is annotating. So the circling that I just did is so important because there's so much going on this timeline. There are so many words that I need my brain to zoom in on the most important stuff for me. Great job on tricky timelines today, Charger History. Just like this guy posing as Patrick, you nailed it.